Welcome to Backline Banter. We are back for the Euros, a big tournament coming up in Germany with some massive European teams. So that means we're back with episodes weekly because there is so much to talk about. 3 games happening in the one day. You love to see it. A bit like the World Cup, but of course, just the European team. So we'll go ahead straight into it. The opening game of the Euros, of course, Germany versus Scotland. Now, Germany absolutely made a statement because, of course, they're at home, they're expected to do well, but it was just whether or not they could actually pull the strings together because they have lacked that in their past 2 major tournaments where the players are looking good, the squads are good, but the way they played on the pitch was not ideal. But they start off how they wanted to start, beating them 5-1. Wirtz starts very quickly in the 10th minute. Musiala doubles their lead in the 19th. Havertz scores a penalty in the 45th minute. Füllkrug scores in the 68th minute. Rudiger own goal in the 87th minute. And then Emre Can scores in the 93rd minute. So a great game for Germany. That's pretty much all you got to say about it. They played with some fire. They played with some intent. And they played like that was a final and they needed minimum 5 goals, which of course they got that in the end. And I mean, you look at their lineup and it's got to be one of the best you've seen in a long time. Of course, you got Neuer in goal, Kimmich right back, Rudiger and Jonathan Tah in the centre back because, of course, Bayer Leverkusen having such a good season, he deserves to get into that centre back role. Then in the left back, Stuttgart's own Mittelstad. Yeah, a bit hard to pronounce, but it's about it. And then the 2 DMs, Andrich and Kroos, with the forward line consisting of Musiala, Wirtz, Havertz, and Gundogan just behind him. So, wow, you see that lineup and you would be silly not to be scared of that because, of course, big danger men. Florian Wirtz and Musiala. Of course, Havertz is there well, but he's pretty much just tapping the goals and, get some in the outside of the box. In my opinion, just not skilled enough to truly compare him to Musiala and Florian Wirtz because they really are Germany's star players, the young attacking midfielders. Good to see Wirtz finally in the squad for Germany because, again, so many Bayern Leverkusen players getting that step up because they just had a phenomenal season with every player doing their part. So he gets to go ahead in the lineup and scores the first goal. And it was lovely taken. That's all you got to say. Just a nice cut back. And then he slots it into the corner off the post. Not too much the keeper could do, really. You expect him unable to save it. And then they just run right at him. As soon as they get the first one, the floodgates open. Musiala, I mean, his footwork, insane. The way he just dribbles past defenders and lays it off or dribbles past them, takes a shot, phenomenal. It really was. And I mean, if we're talking about star players, Toni Kroos, what a game he had. Created the most chances, most passes with 101. He only misplaced 1 pass. That is insane. 8 out of 8 long balls. Like, he was cooking. And I mean, such a vital role in that Germany team. Of course, all midfielders are, but he is really the pivot man. Kind of like Kante with France, but we'll talk about that a bit later. But of course, he is retiring after this tournament, his last hurrah with any football. And hopefully for him, in this case anyway, it goes well. Because of course, he left Madrid on very good terms, winning his Champions League. And then can he win the Euros in his last big games? But I mean, I'm sure I'll talk about it, in the weeks to come. Do I think Germany's doing well? I think they will, but will they make it to the end? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But from a Scotland point of view, I'll be honest, it just wasn't really good. It's not the worst squad in the world because they do have some decent players like Robertson, of course, my boy. And then McTominay, John McGinn, Ryan Christie. They even got Che Adams up front. But it just wasn't working. I don't know if it's a formation, but even though they've been playing the formation for ages with the three at the back and then Robbo and Ralston as those wing backs, because of course when they attack, they go up, but when they defend, she's a five at the back. And really, it just didn't help against Germany. I thought coming into the game, it's definitely what they needed to do. Five at the back, try and prevent as many goals as they can. But Germany just found a way around. They found the little gaps of space and just played the ball in or ran into it. Like, yeah, it really was a statement and a half to make. And when it's on your home turf, yeah, that's what you got to do. And yeah, wow, they did exactly that. And then you just look at Germany's bench as well, like the players they brought on, Pascal Gross, Leroy Sané, Fulkrug, Muller, and Emre Can. It's just like, wow, that team is looking good and fair dues to it. But it didn't help Scotland one little bit, and it didn't give them a chance, I guess, at all for them to come back in the second half because Ryan Porteous got a red card for his tackle against Musiala, I think. Musiala, I have it. He was, of course, one of the German players, but maybe even good, one of them anyway. And yeah, it was a penalty, that's for sure, because he did clip the person. But I thought red card may be a little too harsh. And, you know, that is me looking at from a defender perspective because I'm a defender myself. So I am bound to take the defender's side, you know, a bit biased. But I just thought, you know, of course he's clipped him. But from the looks of it anyway, it was like the German player tripped over himself more than anything. It was like a 70% trip over himself, 30% that he got touched and that's why he got tripped over. He got tackled, should I say. It's a bit weird. But yeah, just not the case and he gets sent off and, you know, as soon as you see that, it just goes from bad to worse. They make it 3-0 Germany and then they know in the second half they've got no chance from coming back. You know, you need a miracle and a half. But I think even from watching the game into the third, fourth, fifth minute, you thought, oh, this is not going to be a good day for Scotland because Germany just went straight from the whistle, just straight on him, down the wings, through the middle, and they really didn't let Scotland breathe much because they would just attack. Of course, they held the ball, played it round, and then just went back to attack. And so fair play to him, looking very good, and it will be interesting to see if they can keep the form that they played in this game or even build from it. And I mean, if they build from it, then wow, that is a team to watch, of course. If you're not already watching that is. But their next game against Hungary on Thursday. So it might even already be played by the time you're watching this. You do just see Germany beating Hungary, but of course, we'll talk about the Hungary game and yeah, no. But yeah, fair play to Germany. Beat them 5-1. Hungary 1, Switzerland 3. Now, I mean, there should be a Euro prediction video out on the YouTube channel very, very soon. I recorded it not too long ago, and it's just in the editing process. Takes a little bit of time, but I did pick Hungary as my dark horse, and I think they will get very far in this Euros. But you've got to say the most crucial game for them against Switzerland to get in that like second place is played first. And honestly, it's about the worst case scenario for Hungary because I feel like Switzerland are quite a cemented team in this competition. Like, you always know Switzerland are going to put in a solid performance no matter who they play, if it's the best team or if it's the worst team. And Hungary, back-to-back qualifications for them, very good. But it's like, now they can qualify. Can they actually play some good games and give them a chance to get to that next stage of the competition? And this was definitely a massive test first up. And as soon as I saw that matchup come out and the game, the time, I said, I am there. And I did watch the first half and the second half in the morning because I did fall asleep. But Hungary, I thought, were a bit shocked. We're a bit nervous in a way. Like, their first half compared to their second half, very, very different. You could argue they were different teams on the pitch, but Switzerland dominant in the first half. Nobody can argue about that. Of course, Hungary had some minimal chances, but the Swiss just all over them, to be honest. Dua scores in the 12th minute, and it seemed a little bit easy. Of course, shouts for offside, but obviously no offside. But he just broke past the line. The ball was nice, and then it's just one touch, bang, into the back of the net past the keeper. So as soon as you saw that, you thought, I didn't think it was going to be the same as the Germany-Scotland match, but I thought, it's not looking good either way, because the Swiss, like I said, started very well. And then for Hungary, they very slowly started to get themselves back in the game, but it just wasn't enough. And then the Swiss just playing really good football. To be honest, I was a little bit shocked how well they did play, because I know they're bowlers, but yeah, for them to play that well in that first half, unreal. And then halftime, of course, happened. What's the second half? And Hungary showed up. Like, that's the team that I've seen in the qualifications, in the build up to the tournament, and they're the team where I think they can go far. And that's why I picked them as my dark horse, because I think overall in the second half, Hungary played much better. Of course, though, Switzerland did have some stints in that half where they had some attacks and, Golashi pulling off some good save, the Swiss defense doing well. And of course, from an overall perspective, it was 1-1 in that second half. But of course, Hungary already being down 2 goals, they need to go for it. And they did get the first goal of the second half, which they made it 1-2, slowly climbing their way back on the top of the mountain. I mean, the main man himself, the youngest captain ever in the Euros, Dominic Szoboszlai, puts in a inch-perfect cross, and Varga is able to get on the end of it and just tap it home. I mean, that's what Szoboszlai can do in this Hungarian team. And honestly, it was just a matter of time when they were going to get their first goal, because it was quite attack. Maybe Switzerland gets one, 5-1 ratio, something like that. But you were just waiting for the goal for Hungary, and they got it, and you kind of not waiting, but you were expecting at that second goal, and they kept attacking, kept firing shots, but just didn't happen. And of course, there was still that hope at the end, but of course, Hungary, no matter what in that game, they needed some points against the Swiss. Even a draw is such a big difference than a loss. So, throwing the kitchen sink of it, leaving, 1-2 defenders behind, attacking. But of course, when you attack and the attack doesn't go too well, opposition gets it, their counter-attack is on. And of course, it was on for the Swiss because, like I said, Hungary putting so many players forward leaves so much space for the Swiss to come in behind him. And that's what happened. Just a ball through to Mbolo, and he puts it in the back of the net. Fair play to him. Good goal by him, to be honest. There was one point in that goal where I thought he lost his boot, but it was some ankle thing. Yeah, a bit confusing, but he scores, and then it's like, yep. That sealed the game. Hungary are not getting any points from this, and disappointed, that's for sure. Yeah, not good at all. But I think the second half, it definitely showed signs where Hungary can do very well. And of course, it will be very interesting to see how they do against Germany and Scotland. I mean, if they don't pick up any points, if they don't win against Scotland, should I say, then yeah, they're not getting far in this competition. But, big challenge Germany next, and it will be interesting to see how they do against the host, against one of the favourite teams, top three. And fair play to Switzerland. I think on paper, they are better, but I just thought the way Hungary's been playing leading up to the Euros, their underrated bowlers that they have, genuinely, they're good. They're young talent as well. Their whole team's pretty young. So even if this Euros, and I know I'm looking ahead a little bit, doesn't go their way, next year's always the one. And I don't want to be too outrageous, but could they qualify for the World Cup? Different format, more teams involved in it, I believe. I don't know. But anyway, they didn't get the result they wanted. The Swiss did very well. And before I leave this game, Dominic Szoboszlai, a little bit of a concern around him that he had an injury leading up to the game and in the game. Because, of course, he is their main talisman. There's no doubt about it. But usually when they play, he is, of course, more attacking. But he's a lot more in the midfield. Where this game, he was kind of on that left side, or actually, I think he might have been on the right side. But he was on the wing and didn't go in the middle too much. And of course, he's such a good ball when he has the ball and when Hungary have the ball. And in that first half, they didn't. But even in that second half, of course, he made the goal happen, but overall, he didn't have too much time on the ball, didn't play with the ball a lot. I was expecting a performance a Kante, a De Bruyne, someone like that, because that's what he has been doing in these games leading up to it. But he was a lot more, what's the word for it? Reserved, that's the one. He was a lot more reserved. And of course, in the first games for the Euros, you're captain the side. I think without an injury, you wouldn't have done that. So I think Hungary trying to hide that Szoboszlai's not 100% fit, and possibly, I don't know, their hammy's a little bit tight, a little bit sore. He pulled it slightly, but, he's, I'm good. So I do think he is hiding an injury. And fair play to him to try and keep on playing. But if it's just not the one, don't risk it. But of course, such a big competition. It only happens once every 4 years. You don't want to miss big games, especially captaining the side. But anyway, we'll move on to the next game. Spain 3, Croatia 0. Again, another team who have made a statement on the competition. You got the first day where Germany stamped their authority on the cup, and now Spain has done the exact same. Croatia and Spain, I think, coming into it, I thought it was going to be quite a close game. I thought it was going to be interesting. Of course, I did think Spain were going to beat Croatia, but yeah, a bit closer than it actually was. But, 3 first half goals for Spain. Wow, fair play. Espanyol, man, they were playing ball. And, I don't know. It didn't seem like the Croatia we've seen the past couple of years, whether that be the World Cup, the Euros. It just looked a little bit off. And, of course, they are an aging squad, so maybe that's why. But yeah, just not up to their normal standards. And of course, that first goal with Morata, the backline for Croatia just disappeared in a way. It was such a big gap where Morata was just able to play the through ball. Of course, Spain extremely fast in attack. Their transition defense to attack, wow. They are definitely up there for the quickest team, but they play that one bowl, Morata takes a touch, a finish, easy as you like, and he scores. And then, of course, they've been dominant the whole game, and then they just build on it. And that Fabian Ruiz goal, wow. I'm a big fan of Ruiz because he plays for PSG and I love PSG. But I did not know he had that in his locker. He was moving like a Phil Foden, like a Mohamed Salah. His footwork was silky. He like drag back, dribbles up, cut in, and then bang with the left foot into the corner of the goal. Wow, that was very impressive. And I mean, when they did score that goal, I wasn't sure who it was, but I'm like, who's like one of their, Pedri. And then I see Ruiz celebrating. I was like, no way he did that. So fair play. And then Carvajal, I don't know how true this is because I heard it in the game and I'm obviously assuming, but I haven't fact-checked it. His first goal for Spain and, of course, assisted by Lamine Yamal. Beautiful cross and then Carvajal tap it in. But fair play to the both of it. And, I mean, I'll touch on Yamal now. Wow. Youngest ever player to play in the Euros. Still 16. Of course, pretty soon turning 17. But that is unreal. Like, the bloke's younger than me and he's starting for Spain in the Euros. That is unfathomable, to be honest. Like, wow, fair play to the bloke. And then second half, of course, Spain was still on the attack, but it wasn't as, pedal to the metal as they were in the first half because, I mean, you're already 3 goals up, so you can kind of just pass it around and as easy as you like. So fair dues. And Croatia actually got a penalty that Petkovic took, but Unai Simon, a beautiful save. And I'm going to big myself up here because I called the save because Unai Simon made the mistake, misplaced the pass, and then he or one of the Spanish defenders, took the player down and fouled him for the penalty. It was Rodri. That's what it was. Rodri fouled him down. Shouts of a red, absolutely no way. But yeah, had to force him to take the penalty. Simons, made the mistake. And I said, he is, so desperate. You want to make up for your mistake. He actually will save this penalty. And of course he did. He got down beautifully to his right side and saved the ball easy. But of course, like we saw, the save by Unai Simon deflected to a Croatia player. He cuts it back to Petrovic and he puts it in the back of the net. And you're like, wow, he's just missed, but he still scored. It's like, he'll take it, but he'll be a bit, upset. And Unai Simon's probably fuming, but turns out that the Croatia player that cut it back to him, I don't remember the name, sorry, but he just stepped over into the box before Petrovic took the penalty kick. So, infringement there and it didn't count. So Spain keep a clean sheet. I believe it's their first clean sheet in 6 games. So fair play to them, looking very good and definitely another team you got to look out for this Euros. Italy versus Albania. Now, history was made in this game and very quickly, you could say, because of course, Bajarmi scoring the quickest goal in the Euros ever. I believe it was 23 seconds on the clock that he put the ball in the back of the net. It was a beautiful strike and, Donnarumma's got no chance. And then when they scored, I thought, I was definitely not expecting it, but I definitely thought Albania would have put up a fight, which of course that they bloody well did. But I feel like Italy from there, they knew, we can't drop any points here. They flipped the switch and they went to conceding the first goal, inside the first minute, as we saw, into prime Barcelona. Obviously not playing the same way, but the standard, wow. And I mean, it just showed getting the lead back within 16 minutes from going down with Bastoni in the 11th minute and Barrea in the 16th minute. Absolutely unreal. And from Italy taking the lead again, really they should have scored 2, maybe 3 more because they were cooking, like attack after attack. from memory, like Albania might have had 2-3 more, decent chances. But apart from that, Italy was all over them, man. I mean, it just shows, 17 shots to Albania's 8, with 1 on target for Albania, 5 for Italy. So, it was dominant for them, man. I mean, honestly, Albania could have scored right at the end, but Italy hold off. They get much needed 2 points at 3 points, sorry. And it was obviously expected Italy to beat Albania. I think if you predicted otherwise, fair play to you, back the confidence. But from not qualifying the World Cup, I think they definitely need to make a statement in this tournament. Because, of course, back to back, I don't see happening. But from winning the Euros, and I thought, they cooked in the Euros. And I mean, winning it, of course, you can't disagree with it. But then from going to that and then not qualifying in the World Cup, honestly, it was a bit embarrassing. And I think they got to show up some teams in this Euros. And interesting. Poland 1, Netherlands 2. A game I thoroughly enjoyed watching because, honestly, as much as I think France will win it, I hope the Netherlands go as far as they can. And to be honest, I hope they win the thing. Because, I don't know, I'm just a big fan of their team, of the Netherlands. I like it. Of course, Van Dijk, best defender of all time for me. And then I'm a Liverpool fan. And they also got Cody Gakpo. But just all round, I really like them. And I think a bit of it came from the World Cup as well, from watching them. Because, in my opinion, the best game in the World Cup, apart from the final, was that Netherlands-Argentina game. Wout Weghorst scoring 2 to take it to extra time and then taking it to penalties. Wow, fair dues. And yeah, massive fan of them I was. And the first half for the Netherlands, wow. I mean, I think they showed most people anyway of how high their standard can be. And I mean, I think they can go even higher. Because the way they played, especially, again, like Spain, going from defense to attack, it was so quick. I mean, Cody Gakpo was a standout for me. He was on fire, genuinely. Every time he got the ball, he'd be sprinting and getting past his defender or sprinting, cutting inside. Nothing would be at a pace where you kind of jog or you run it, just sprint, keep control of the ball. And of course, he has had his downside for Liverpool this season, at the start, midway through. But near the end, I think he got a bit of a hold of it and you can see the potential there for him. I think he's a really good bowler. And it just shows that, of course, I think sometimes we forget it, but he is primarily a winger, out on that left side. When we bought him from PSV, he was a winger. Of course, for the Dutch, he has been playing up top every now and then or wide, but genuinely put him out wide and he's cooking. Of course, it's not a natural build for a winger, I'd say, because he's a bit lanky, but he's so quick, so techy with the dribbles. Just the way he can, spin around and still have the ball at his feet, unreal. And yeah, he went full throttle at Poland and he managed to get a goal to equalise the game. We'll talk about Poland's goal in a bit. But of course, he did get lucky with the deflection. But when he's been, working so hard, constantly going attack, having shots, I think it was well deserved. And deflection, game's a game, it happens. And fair play to him, very good. And I think, again, I think they're underrated. And I think they, again, were underrated in the game. Because I think their first half amazing performance was, a little bit not shined on because Poland scored first. And, it's just 1-1 at halftime. It's not 1-0, it's not 2-0, it's not 3-0. So it's not like, wow, they did really well in the first half. But if you watch it, mate, it was unreal because Poland, of course, they had a few attacks, but they scored from a corner, their first corner of the game, and Bushka, I believe, something like that, gets his head on it, and fair play, good corner, good header, good goal. He would absolutely love that, the goal scorer, because of course Lewandowski out, with an injury, he's still sitting on the bench. You'd love to see that, but, I'm sure he's been looking up to Lewandowski. He's like, I want to do you proud, score a goal for you, and he's done it, and of course for himself, obviously, but fair play to him. But I think as soon as that happened, I was about to say as soon as that happened, Netherlands flicked the switch, but they were already playing unreal, and they did exactly that. The second half, again, was really good, but the thing that lacked was just the final chances, and thankfully, the super sub man, Wout Weghorst, comes on, and honestly, I think it was his first touch, and he scored a goal, phenomenal. But him off the bench, it was nice, and again, the second half was good. I think we were as dominant as the first half, but maybe not as much attacks and quality of attacks, I guess you could say. Not the best way to word it, but, it was looking good. It was just that final product and a bit less of the attack again. But no, it was really good. I love to watch them play, and I think they'll go far. Simple as that. Simple as that. And again, in that attack, Memphis Depay, I thought very well done by him. He was looking alive. Of course, again, the final product wasn't really there for him, but very good job. Very skillful player he is indeed. I remember that first half, how he flicked it over the defender. Of course, the other Polish defender came in and got the ball. But he was looking good, man. And then Xavi Simons, I thought he was pretty good on the ball. Maybe he didn't get as much of the ball as you would have thought, but I think a lot of that play was just down that left-hand side with Cody Gakpo, because, man, again, he was cooking. That was so good to see. And then, honestly, I think the only thing the Dutch lack a bit compared to the best teams is their midfield. Now, of course, they still are very good, don't get me wrong, and it's a solid midfield, but I don't know, it's just not as good as the other teams, because, of course, they did have Reinders, Veerman, and Schouten, and, they're good, but they're not like a Pedri, a Rodri, a Gundogan, players like that. I think that's the only thing that lacks in the team, but I think if they can step up to the challenge, then they will do very well, because, defense is very good with that Dumfries, Van Dijk, De Vrij, Ake, and then even in goals for Bruggen, I thought maybe now it's time for Flecken to take the reins, but fair play to him. And he is only 21. Wow, I did not realize that one bit. So young, still at Feyenoord, of course, but it'll be interesting to see. Maybe even this season, well, the next transfer window anyway, he goes to a bigger team in a bigger league. You know what I'm saying? Because I think he's really good. I think he's good. In the first game, he showed that completely. So very, very good from him. And it will be interesting to see how they play against France in their next game. A big one there. Romania 3, Ukraine 0. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit quicker about this game because I still got a few more games to go through, and I've been talking a lot about good, but it feels good to be back in a podcast rhythm, that's for sure. But Romania, very well played to them, beating Ukraine 3-0. Wow. Again, another team making another big statement, because I can say pretty confidently, many people would have put Romania fourth in their group, going out of the competition straight away. But I think beating Ukraine quite dominantly, you've got to say, in this game, wow. And the Romania had more of the fans. I'd say that's pretty right, because, I mean, one half of the stadium was completely yellow when they scored their first goal. Wow, that was up and about, jumping up and down. Yeah, damn. That's all I got to say for that. So fair play to them. And I'd be lying if I really knew any of the players. Like, I know Hadji. I thought he would have started, but clearly not. So fair play to them. I mean, a team to look out. And of course, we'll talk about that Belgium Slovakia game, but maybe they have a chance against Belgium. Another game we'll talk pretty quickly about, Slovenia 1, Denmark 1. Of course, Eriksson scoring in the 17th minute, and then Hansa in the 77th minute. I hope I've said that right. It's just a little bit tough with all these different names from different places, different pronunciation, but it was a pretty solid game, I thought. Denmark in the first half, I thought did pretty darn well, and especially with their goal, just a nice play into the box, Wind with a beautiful flick on just to allow it into the path of Eriksson, which he just took it down to the chest and bang into the corner. You know, they're Denmark's highest goal scorer, so fair play to him. And then Slovenia, you know, not doing too shabby. They work the ball and then they get a beautiful goal, like I said. And, you know, fair play to them. It is definitely a big game for both teams in their own way, because I feel like out of all those three spots, apart from England, you know, Denmark, Slovenia, and Serbia, they're all up for grabs. There's no one team that's like cemented more than the others. Like, you know, Slovenia isn't going to get second place 100%. You just never know with this group. And that's what makes it so good, you know, so entertaining. You gotta love the Euros. And I mean, personally, I think I might be in England and a Serbia, then Denmark and Slovenia to qualify. But, you know, you don't know. When it kicks off with a draw and England just beating Serbia, it's like, wow, Serbia's going to be looking really good against Denmark and Slovenia and could get some more points. So a good group there and, you know, a solid game. And we will move into the England-Serbia game. Now, massive, massive expectations in this one. I think people thought England, well, not a lot of, I think majority of people would have thought that it's at least a 2-0 game. It did only end 1-0. You know, Bellingham in the 13th minute, fair play to him. What an absolute bowler he is. Genuinely, wow. I mean, I feel like he's got to be leading the Ballon d'Or race at the moment with his unreal season at Madrid and then kicking off the Euros very well. And I mean, personally for me, his biggest competitor in that Ballon d'Or is Kylian Mbappe. And with him being out for a few weeks, you know, not in for the rest of the group stage games. And I don't know if he's back for the quarters, you know, we'll just have to see because of his broken nose. So, you know, it's a really good start for Bellingham. And overall, it was solid for England. I mean, I was a fan of their lineup when I saw it, you know, Pickford in goal, Walker at right back, Stones and Guehi in the middle, Trippier at left back. I mean, maybe that one's a bit iffy because he's just not really a left back and struggles a bit on the left-hand side. But then Trent and Rice as the holding mids. You got Saka, Foden, Kane in the attack, and then Bellingham just behind Kane. So it was a really good lineup. And of course, you know, Liverpool fan, I was a big, big fan to see Trent in that starting 11. I think he thoroughly deserves it. So yeah, just to see him in there, beautiful. He had a pretty decent game, I thought. You know, some nice interceptions here and there, and then good passes, good pass completion rate. But I don't know, I feel like there was something missing compared to what he was doing in the qualifying games, or even like the games leading up to it. But, you know, that's all right. It's the opening game. I mean, I feel like a lot of people say England are slow to start anyway, you know, whether that be the World Cup, the Euros, and I know Harry Kane is definitely a slow starter, but, you know, he had a pretty decent chance in that second half, just header off the crossbar and out. So overall, it's a decent performance for England. I think all England fans wanted, though, just that stamp of authority on the competition, like your Spain, like your Germany did, and just a bit of a thrashing, 3-0, 4-0. But, it's not the case. And like I was saying before, with Serbia, they do look like they can get some more points, to get some points against Denmark and Slovenia. Because, again, solid. They were really nice. And to keep England at a 1-goal lead, fair dues. So fair play to him, and a pretty big game up next for England against Denmark. I think on paper, Denmark's the second best team in this group anyway. I think maybe followed closely behind Serbia. So it will be a decent challenge by them, but I feel like the English just have to bag a few more goals against the Danish, but we'll see about that one. It should be a cracker. Now, on to the controversial game. Belgium 0, Slovakia 1. Now, overall, I thought Slovakia, of course, played decent. I mean, they got the 3 points. What more can you ask for? But the Belgians were all over him, you've got to say. Like, having shots galore. I think the first half, they had a few attacks, of course. And then Slovakia, of course, getting their goal. Just, it was a bit of an interesting one. Like, he has one of the Slovakian blokes have his shot. It bounces back. And then Schrens is just able to just nicely tap it into the goal. I mean, honestly, if you saw his reaction, I don't think he expected that either, because, it is lucky in the right place. It's a nice, just composed finish. I mean, he will be gassed and take that every day of the week. But the controversy in this one is, of course, Belgium and Lukaku put 2 goals in the back of the net. One was offside, and that's fair enough. VAR saw it, and he was a little bit offside, unlucky for him. But he put the ball in the back of the net for a second time, and everything he did was fine. But in the build-up, Lewis Openda with his dribbles past a Slovakian defender and his cut back to Lukaku, there were shouts of handball. And I looked on the replay, the VAR, and it was a bit like, ooh, this could be handball, this couldn't. And I mean, from the natural eye, it looked like he didn't touch it at all. Or if he did touch it, it would be the minimalist touch where it doesn't even deflect the ball into a different spin or path. So it's it's just brushed him. It hasn't done anything. But with the new ball technology in these new Euro 2024 balls, I guess, they have Snicko. Now, they had a look at that and they were able to see, from the sounds that it did in fact touch Openda's hand. But I mean, you look at the sound waves, I guess that's what you call them. It was so minimal and it was given as a handball and the goal ruled out. And personally, I just think that was outrageous because, having Snicko in a game like cricket, 100%, it is elite. You need it because it is pretty much black and white. No, it is black and white. It's either it's hit the bat or it hasn't, or it's hit the glove and it has. The batsman has either hit the ball or he hasn't. Where soccer or football, whatever you like to call it, it is not black and white. It's very iffy, subjective in a way because yes, it may have hit his hand the slightest, but is that enough to be deemed as a handball? Has he affected the ball enough? Because of course, it was completely unintentional. And you see sometimes where a ball gets blasted into the player and they've got their hands down by their side and it's like, oh, no handball because it's a natural position. And for Openda in his position, it was a natural thing. You're dribbling, you're trying to get round him. So one arm's a bit higher, trying to hold off the defender coming in. The other's out, just in a running stance. And of course, as we say, it brushes it. But I really don't think it's enough. And I think when I saw that Snicko come in, I'm like, you've got to be joking. Like, that is a bit of a piss take. And it's a big game for Belgium, honestly, because I know it seems like a pretty easy group for them, but I mean, them struggling against Slovakia, it's probably going to be the same against a Romania and a Ukraine. So even a draw would have been massive for them, because in these formats, you play every team in the group stage just once. So you've only got one chance to take some points away or take all of them. And that's what Slovakia did in this case. And I thought Lukaku played very well. Of course, like I said, put the ball in the back of the net twice. Both of them ruled out, but he looked very lively. Same with Jeremy Doku. I thought in that first half and a little bit of the second half, he was absolutely blitzing his man. I feel like he should have done a bit more in that second half, but I mean, you know, tidiness does creep in when he absolutely just sprints, dribbles, passes defenders, and he also helps defensively as well. And then De Bruyne, he was good, of course, you know, as you expect, their main man, but I feel like he wasn't on the ball as much in the first half. And then near kind of the 50th, 60th mark in the second half, obviously, he dropped a little bit deeper and became more of a playmaker than an attacking midfielder. And I feel like when he did that, he got into the game so much more, and it was a lot better for him because just on the ball, take a few touches, he can play that through ball because he got so much talent. He can make those incisive passes and spread the ball wide, you know, switch the play, attack, and then hopefully there is a chance of goal. So I thought that was good, and they've definitely still got a massive chance to qualify. There's no doubt about it, because 2 more games, they play Romania and Ukraine. So, of course, you expect them to pick up points, but I don't think anybody really expected Slovakia to beat them. So, fair play to the Slovakians. And, I mean, Dubravka, he had a game and a half, you've got to say, because, of course, Belgium with all their shots, Lukaku with all his as well. He made 5 saves, so fair play to him, doing really well. And, I mean, just solid performance all round. And honestly, probably one of Slovakia's highest names, you could say, because of Dubravka playing in the net for Newcastle in the Premier League pretty much more than half the season with Nick Pope's injury, of course. I think, you know, him, Skriniar, a lot of pressure and a lot of expectation on their shoulders, but a very good result in their first game. Austria 0, France 1. Another game absolutely unreal. And I mean, you've got to say, France were dominant over the whole game. Only thing they lacked, like a Belgium, again, you could say, was their final product, because they made some chances and they were on the attack a lot, but it was just the final pass, the final shot. And I mean, you let them off for this game because it is an opening for the Euros, but you do think if that happens in any more games, it could be a lot more cost effective. And against Austria, who, you know, played decent, I think they played as well as they could do against the French. Of course, they could do better, but I mean, you look at the France lineup, and I'll read it out because, wow. I mean, you got Mignon in goal, Upamecano, Saliba in the centre-back half role. I think it's a little bit tough for Canade not making the starting 11, which, you know, in all respects, it's kind of fair enough because especially that last bit of the season for Liverpool, he was being dropped to the bench and Kwanzaa being played instead of him. But, you know, my Liverpool boy, a bit disappointing to not see him start. But then Hernandez on the left, what a fullback he is. And then Koundé on the right. And then in the midfield, the kind of, you know, holding players, Rabiot and Kante. And I'd say Kante's a holding player, but he is absolutely a free roamer. He was everywhere and anywhere in this game, but I'll talk a bit more later on. Then Thuram on the left, Dembele on the right, Griezmann in that 10 role, and then Mbappe up front. So, you know, you see that lineup, and that's why they're pinned as the favourites. But a big upset for Kylian Mbappe as he has broken his nose. He just went up for a header against the Austrian defender Danzo, and Danzo won the ball, and Mbappe went straight into his shoulder and broke his nose. There was blood pouring out of it. Not a good sight to see for him. And sadly, he's going to be out for a few weeks. And, you know, the massive question is, will he be able to come back in time for another game of the Euros? I definitely think so, because I think the French will get very far despite not having their main man. But I reckon quarterfinals coming back possibly. And I mean, I hope so for his case and the French. But not ideal for him one bit in the opening game. I thought he would have really put his authority on the game. And I mean, some people are even saying that Mbappe maybe can't do it in the Euros. Because, of course, last Euros 2021, where Italy won the whole thing, Mbappe didn't score a single goal. You know, they got knocked out in the round of 16 against the Swiss, and Mbappe actually missed that last penalty to take it to sudden death. So a lot of questions around, is he a Euro man, or can he just not do the competition? I mean, I think not last year, but last Euros was just a bit off for him. And then even this game, he was indeed a bit off, because he did have a massive chance in that second half. Just he uses his speed to get behind the Austrian defense, takes a touch, the defender's behind him. He's got, you know, a fair bit of time. He's got the keeper one-on-one. You see him in this chance 9.5 times out of 10 where he scores it. Like, genuinely, I would have put all my money on him scoring it, and he hits it wide. I mean, you can't believe it. And of course, you know, you can't be too crucial on him, because every good player, the best, like Mbappe, do miss. And, you know, they have a little bit of lapse in judgment. But, hey, just very lucky for him. And, I mean, the main star performance in this game was Kante, because, like I said just a bit before, he genuinely was everywhere and anywhere. He was like that prime Kante we know in that 2018 World Cup, or even in the 2020 season for Chelsea and the one prior to it. Wow, insane, genuinely. Any time where France were a bit under pressure, or even Austria was on the attack, bang, Kante's there, gets the ball, plays it out, comes you like. You know, bang, Kante gets the ball, plays it out, and France are on the attack. It was unreal from him, man. You know, there were questions whether he would start or not. And, I mean, the main one was he wasn't really in a massive conversation in the team. It was like, okay, yeah, Rabiot, always good for France, but now is it going to be Camavinga or Tchouaméni? And then, I mean, I guess you can put Kante in the conversation, but it wasn't really a massive factor there. And I mean, personally, I definitely thought it was going to be Tchouaméni and Rabiot, but Deschamps gives him, you know, the all clear, all go ahead in that starting 11, and fair play to him. You know, he proved why he got selected in that starting 11, and he's definitely cemented his spot for the next few games. That's at least for sure, unless, you know, he has a massive rotter, but you don't see that happening. What a player he is. I mean, you love to watch him, really, because he is a good person all round, I guess. You know, he just seems so happy all the time, you know, thank you. So, it's very good. And then, Austria, just unlucky, especially with France getting the one and only goal, you know, coming from Kylian Mbappe. So, there you go. But Voba scores an own goal. It's not Woba, apparently. It's a Voba. Nice. I know that now. But he puts it in the back of the net. Very unlucky. I mean, like I was just saying, Mbappe had the ball, puts it across the ball, and Voba just has to get something on it. And I mean, I know he's trying to clear it the opposite way of the goal, but it just comes off his head wrong because the ball comes in so quick, goes into the goal, and it is very unlucky indeed. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it is a good start for France. They get the 3 points like they need, like they want. Same with the Netherlands in their group, and then Poland and Austria with none. So, big games next up, though, for France as they do face the Netherlands. That will be a cracker indeed. I think, of course, it's going to be a close game, but honestly, this one here, and, you know, seeing France's opening game, they're not having Mbappe, and of course, I'm not saying Mbappe is the only reason France is going to win, but I think the Netherlands are going to cause a bit of an upset and beat them in this game. That's just me, though. And then, of course, the other game in the group, Poland v Austria, a massive one for that. I feel like whoever loses out of Poland and Austria are going out of this Euros. And then whoever wins could have that chance in that third place qualification. But we will see. 2 more games left to go. Both happened this morning in my time. Turkey vs Georgia and Portugal vs Czechia. Now, we'll start off with the Turkey game against Georgia. Wow, what a cracker that was, really. To be honest, I did think Georgia was going to put up a bit of a fight, but not as much as they did in this game, because fair play to them. They were going at it. And I mean, I think some people could have predicted it because it is their first Euros, their first game ever in a Euros, obviously. And they really wanted to stamp their authority on the game and just show, you know, we didn't just qualify into the Euros. We want to push even further and show you why we got qualified. I don't think I worded that the best. But anyway, like I said, put up an insane fight. But Turkey, you've got to say, they were better, I guess, in a way. But what can Georgia do when Turkey score 2 absolutely stunning goals? I mean, their first one by Mulder, that's probably not pronounced right, but Mulder, fair play, just cuts back. He takes it on the left foot. It's a curler off the post and in. Nothing the Georgia players can do. I mean, they could have been a bit tight on him, but not really. That was just good play from Turkey. Then Arda Güler, of course, a youngster for Madrid. Wow, what a shot and what a goal that was. In the 65th minute, you know, he's outside the box, more on the right side, laces it with the left foot, and wow, that ball moved. It looked like it was going wide at one point, and then it goes back in, and top corner. Genuinely, what a finish. I think it is already going to be goal of the tournament because that was just unreal. Like, oh, the odds on that, if you showed where he shot it from, like to score, would have been crazy because, wow, unreal that. When I saw that goal go in, like, I didn't even know what to think because, you know, their first goal, Turkey, I was like, wow, that's unreal. And then Güler scores this insane strike, and I was genuinely lost for words. How can that happen? Like, brother, that is Ronaldo-esque, that movement on the ball. So fair play to him. I mean, he showed what the hype is all about him. And then, of course, Georgia, beautiful for them in their first game. They score their first goal in the Euros thanks to Mikadadze, something like that, in the 32nd minute. I mean, it was, you know, decent play from Georgia, and they get into that chance and just nice spin across, strikes into the corner. Keeper couldn't save it. And then Georgia looking good, looking dangerous near the end of the game to try and equalize it, try and make it 2-2 so they get at least a point. And that point would have been massive for them. But they go, you know, full out attack corner. They bring the keeper up. I believe the keeper was even up before that when they had a free kick or another corner, either or. And then Turkey's able to clear from the last corner of the game And then Arkatoglu is just able to run it up, takes a touch and another one, and then just slots it into an open net. Of course, the Georgia player trying to run back and stop him, but he was in prime position and he was not catching him. So they finished the game 3-1. Of course, it should have been 2-1 because Georgia just throwing all their players up to try and get that equalizer, but it doesn't happen, and it actually hits them in the back instead. But I mean, they needed to do that because, like I said, that point, if they got against Turkey, would have been so fatal. And that's the big thing about this Euros. Well, with the Euros all the time, is that little moments in a game can prove so massive in a tournament, as you only play every team in your group once. So they'll never have that chance to right their wrongs, I guess. You know, Turkey just slightly better and just took their chances on the day. You know, 2 outrageous strikes. And then Georgia with their one and just couldn't find another one. So fair play to the Turkish. On the other side of the group, Portugal vs Czechia, that did end 2-1. Now, in my predictions, I'll let you know, I have put Czech to finish top of the group and then Portugal second. And I tell you what, when Czech scored their first goal, Provod in the 62nd minute, wow, I was like, come on, that is elite, you know, I know ball, come on. And then, Portugal come back and win the game, fair dues. Portugal, the first goal they got, of course, only 7 minutes after Czech's first goal. Oh man, just quite unlucky, I guess you're going to say, just a little mistake. I don't remember who took a shot. Might have been Vitinha, but a Portuguese player shot at the keeper. The keeper didn't feel comfortable enough to catch it, so he just parries it down. But the Czech defender right above him, Hradak, I hope I've said that right, is right kind of in front. So the keeper palms it down straight onto his shins and bounces back into the net. And just unlucky. There's not much you can do about it. It's not the defender's fault. And I mean, of course it is someone's fault, but I feel like the defender can't do anything about it. Of course, there is an argument he should be just hold his run in a way, I guess, just not be that close and just stand back. But, you know, you've got to try and be that tight so then a Portugal player doesn't sweep in and tap it in. And then I feel like the keeper, he probably could have just caught it, but you just don't know. And I'm not a keeper and I'm not that high level of defender. So, you know, it's just a bit of a mistake from the Czech. And then just when you think it's going to be a draw, and even that for the Czech, absolutely unreal. You know, that's a massive point for them, like it would have been for Georgia if they got an equalizer as well. But Portugal get a late winner. Conchichao, I mean, I definitely haven't pronounced that right, but he's, you know, a new young talent in the Portuguese team, comes off the bench and about a minute later gets the winning goal. What a moment for him, and what a moment for the Portuguese, because I think a lot of people are seeing the flaws in Portugal these days, because in the past, relying heavily on Ronaldo, and now that Ronnie is getting a little bit old, it is a bit up in the air of where the Portugal team are going next. Like, is João Felix going to be the new number 9? Are they going to have a new number 9 or stick with Ronaldo until he retires? And personally, I think for this Euros, stick with Ronaldo, because, like, yes, he's old, but the quality he provides is insane. Genuinely, you know, I can't say he's still one of the best strikers, but, you know, he just knows so much about the game, the experience, and yes, it is the Saudi league, but he's still putting him in the back of the net there, so I think it's fair enough for him. Of course, he had a few chances in this game, bit unlucky not to score one with his header, but I thought he played solid all round, and then, Portugal get all the 3 points, happy with that, and they'll just take that hope and win of the 3 points into the next game, going for the others, and then top their group, and they'll just keep going. But we'll see if that's the case for the Portuguese. Again, Czech, so unlucky, well, Czechia, should I say, so unlucky to not get any points right at the end. That would be so tough to take for them. And they'll move on to their next game against Georgia, which should be quite interesting, to be honest. I think Czech will pick up all 3 points, but Georgia, like we saw in their game against Turkey, it will be a cracker. But Czech, I mean, they had some really good form and, still super unlucky not to get at least a point, draw the game. But coming into it, their past 14 games, not including this one, they lost only one of them. And it actually was to Albania in Euro qualification. Of course, some of these are friendlies and they drew it a couple of times, but they were looking good. And yeah, unlucky to get the draw. I mean, I think I've said that a few times, but just, that's so tough because I know how that feels, man. You play so well the whole game and a bit unlucky not to take another lead at points and then just to get nothing out of the game. That is tough. So that is indeed the end of the episode. If you enjoyed, give me a follow, give me a like, whatever you can do to support the podcast, be greatly appreciated. That was indeed my Euro spiel, I guess, just chatting about the games, what I thought about the results, and of course, many more games to come. So many episodes to be out during this Euros, and it's good to be back, that's for sure, because taking a little bit of a break. But if you haven't checked out the YouTube channel as well, go check that out. Backline Banter as well, of course, that would be greatly appreciated. And I'll see you in the next one.